College football playoff semifinal weekend, NFL wildcard weekend. Enjoy the games and hello everybody. This is Transposition Sports. I'm Carly Chardonnay Webb. Also this week, the 119th Congress of the United States reconvened, and it seems transgender student athletes are at the top of the docket as House and Senate Republicans refiled bills to ban transgender girls from interscholastic girls athletics and transgender women from intercollegiate women's athletics. The measure, dubbed the Save Women's Sports Act, would amend Title IX to prohibit schools from allowing transgender girls and women to, quote, participate in an athletic program or activity designed for women and girls, as the bill states. The measure defines sex as, quote, based solely on a person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth. Now, the sponsors of the respective measures, Representative Greg Steube of Florida and Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama, each said the effort makes good on a campaign promise. And the mandate, they say, was earned at the polls last November. Now, during the fall campaign, the GOP reportedly spent $215 million on ads directly opposing the transgender rights efforts championed by the Biden administration and congressional Democrats.
We will keep men out of women's sports.
This issue remained a topic of discussion even after the elections. Last month, the Biden administration withdrew a proposal that would amend Title IX to protect transgender student athletes. Also in December, NCAA President Charlie Baker spoke out when questioned by senators on inclusion during hearings on college sports and online gambling.
How many athletes are there in the United States in NCAA schools?
510,000.
How many transgender athletes are you aware of?
Less than 10.
Is there anything else you'd like to say on this subject?
I think part of our challenge is dealing with a very murky set of court decisions and at the state and federal level around this issue, which creates a certain lack of clarity around our policy, because our policy ultimately needs to comply with federal policy. Which is why guidance either on the regulatory side or on the statutory side would be very helpful.
A quick note about the NCAA regulations. The current regs have been in place since 2022, and eligibility is now decided on a sport-by-sport basis using the standards set by the national or world governing bodies in the specific sport. The NCAA's regulations have been under some legal fire in the last year. In March, the Independent Council on Women's Sports, as I like to call them, Karens against women's sports, because they really don't care about women's sports. They're only here for the transphobia. They filed a lawsuit in the name of 19 former and current collegiate student athletes, led, of course, by anti-trans activist
Riley Gaines, a real American transphobe. Riley Gaines there.
More recently, the state of Texas filed their own lawsuit led by their Attorney General, Ken Paxton. One of the targets of all this, the 24 states that have not passed these bans and have stood up for transgender rights and anti-discrimination measures. A number of legal analysts are saying that there will definitely be new rounds of litigation in the next year if the Trump administration moves forward, and from the looks of things, they're going to move forward. But we're also seeing a barrage of legislation at the state level, with those legislatures coming back into session. In Indiana, GOP legislators are looking to pass a bill that would institute a ban at the college level, a measure that was passed for the state's high schools back in 2022. And GOP legislators in California are also introducing a student athlete ban. Very interesting, given that California has some of the most robust anti-discrimination protections for transgender people in the entire country. But just a thought, given what's happening in Los Angeles County at this moment, I think this issue will have to take a back seat. And just a note to all our viewers and listeners across Southern California, we know things are bad right now, and our thoughts and prayers are with you in this time. When we come back to Transposition Sports, we're going to look at a story north of the border of a college forfeit that isn't what you think it is. That and more to come, but first, a message from the angry gay grandpa. You know what's coming. have a Kleenex ready.
So maybe I'll start a little bit softer.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine.
Dad?
Before you say anything, I just want to apologize for what I said this morning. I've been doing a lot of thinking. If you want to change your name, if you want to wear a dress.
It's a skirt, Dad.
Skirt. I don't know the kind of support you need, but let's get you some for all this transgender stuff.
Wait. Are you serious? Dad, what is this?
Oh, this is me supporting you. This is me saying I love you. This is me not losing you.
I love you, Dad.
Love you. Holly.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Welcome back to Transposition Sports. A group of collegiate basketball players in British Columbia say they will not play a pair of games against another team in their conference this weekend due to alleged verbal and physical mistreatment of a transgender teammate they say has not been addressed. All 13 players on the Vancouver Island University Mariners women's basketball squad have signed a letter saying that they don't feel safe playing against rival Columbia Bible College. The letter states, quote, "All of us should be free to be ourselves and play the game we love in a supportive and safe environment, including queer and trans athletes." The athlete at the center of all this is Mariners forward Harriet McKenzie. She's a transgender woman who has played college basketball for each of the last 3 seasons. She spoke up last October about verbal and physical mistreatment she endured when her team hosted Columbia Bible College earlier in the season. Now, McKenzie said the visiting team's coach, Taylor Claggett, went on a, quote, tirade after a loss October 25th, yelling at the Mariners staff about how McKenzie shouldn't be allowed to play against women even though Harriet McKenzie is a woman. A social media account linked to Claggett also posted anti-trans messages after the game. Now, the two sides played again the next day, and McKenzie and her teammates claimed her opponents physically targeted her. In the video, you see a number of plays where Columbia players tended to get physical with McKenzie, including a play where they basically threw her to the ground. Now, McKenzie also spoke out on social media about what happened and why she thinks it did.
The Columbia Bible College Bearcats visited our home gym for 2 league games. On Friday night, my teammates and I played some great basketball and ended up winning by 12 points. After the game, I went home with my family, but the opposing team's head coach, Taylor Claggett, cornered one of our athletic staff and went on a tirade about how I shouldn't be allowed to play. Fast forward to Saturday morning, I woke up to a call from my coach who was on the verge of tears. He asked if I was okay and if I was aware of the situation on social media. After the night before his game, Taylor Claggett's brother and business partner, Kyle Claggett, had posted the following on his Instagram story. During the game later that afternoon, my team rallied together and we ended up playing our best game yet. However, it soon became evident that CBC's tactic had shifted to simply trying to injure me. Coming out of halftime, our 14-point lead was starting to grow, and unsurprisingly, CBC started to get even dirtier. In the unsporting foul, you can see here, I get two-hand chucked to the ground by number 13 without a play on the ball in sight. Then, head coach Taylor Claggett can be seen applauding in support. Sadly, situations like these are nothing new to me. Throughout my entire playing career, I've been outed and attacked by everyone from players to coaches to fans. They try to invalidate my achievements, from Player of the Year to National MVP, claiming she only won that because she's trans. Many attribute my success not to hard work and dedication, but to the fact that I am a trans woman. These people don't know my story, and they don't care to. They don't care that I began my transition in kindergarten, never having undergone a male puberty. They don't care that my testosterone levels are 1/10 that of a cis woman due to the absence of reproductive organs, placing me at a significant competitive disadvantage. They don't care. Instead, they are fueled by their shared bigotry and ignorance. They attribute my athletic ability and 6'2" frame not to my parents, both varsity basketball players in the 95th percentile for height, but to the fact that I am a trans woman. In the past, I've dealt with these situations by keeping my head down and hoping they blow over, saying nothing, not wanting to draw attention to myself. But guess what? I'm done. Done letting ignorant transphobes like Taylor and her crew spew hate against me and my community. Done staying silent while harmful narratives make today's queer youth feel as though they don't belong in sport. Done pretending like I have anything to be ashamed of. I'm proud of my story, and I want to make something very clear. Queer, trans, and non-binary people belong in sport, and there is zero space in this league for hate, violence, and bigotry.
As you can see, Harriet McKenzie has no problem expressing herself off the court, and she certainly does the same on it. 16 points per game so far this season, 9.4 rebounds per game. Not too shabby. And oh, the Mariners, they're 11-1, atop the conference, and they look pretty good as the season winds down and heads into postseason play in February. They're going to take 2 losses this weekend because of the stance these kids are taking. I'm going to tell you something. Those kids are showing a level of championship and class that 5 other teams in the Mountain West Conference needed to heed. And you know the 5 teams I'm talking about, the volleyball crisis. See, unlike the teams that wouldn't play San Jose State, the Mariners stood up, looked you in the eye and said, yes, we'll take these 2 losses. We're not playing a team that's targeting one of our teammates because of who she is. Yes, our teammate is trans, and you know what? She's a part of our squad, and we will back her up 100%. That I respect. I respect the fact that these kids, these young people, stood up front and said, this is what we're doing and this is why we're doing it. No tap dance, no subterfuge. Unlike the 5 teams in volleyball who said, we don't want to play them, but they wouldn't tell you why. And to the Mariners fans, I salute you, because I saw some of the news footage, I saw some of the newspaper coverage, and I noticed something. These fans were vocal, these fans were visual, these fans said in unison, yes, we support this young lady. She's a Mariner, she's one of us, she's one of the unit, and we stand with her against those who would try to do her harm. There's a part of me that selfishly would want to see the Mariners play this weekend. Go to Columbia Bible College and get 2 wins and run the score up while doing it. But you know, I support these young people because of the stance they're taking. And to me, it sends the right message and it supports the right values. Yeah, you're going to take 2 losses this weekend, but you won so much more. You won respect. You can look yourselves in the mirror knowing that. And I can tell you, in this reporter, you've won a fan. And I'm going to be keeping my eye on all of you, especially a young lady named Harriet McKenzie wearing number 23. Sis, go out there and dominate. I'm going to be cheering you on all the way. For Transposition Sports, I'm Carly Chardonnay Webb.